Hello. So in this video we're going to be demonstrating how to actually retrieve an Azure Key Vault secret using C#. Without any further ado, let's go. So in your favorite browser, just navigate to portal.azure.com and then make sure you're logged in. After you're logged in, you can just search for Key Vault. So if we type it there, it'll show you Key Vaults here. Just select on Key Vaults to bring up the Key Vault screen, and you must just create a new Key Vault. So if we create a new Key Vault here, it'll actually create a new Key Vault for you. We're just going to create a new one and name it according to our company's naming standards. Okay, so we're just going to select a subscription here, particular resource group. We can create a new resource group actually. Resource group, Mavicho software, that's available. Then the name of our Key Vault here has to be a unique name across all of Azure. Key Vault Mavicho software. We already took this name, so we're going to say software 2. We can put it in the East US, that's okay. The standard pricing tier is also okay for now. That's not what we want to demonstrate. We can leave the defaults here. And access policies, these are actually inferred through my subscription. I said I set it such that I'm an owner of each and every resource that's created, so that's why automatically I'm part of the owners of this particular Key Vault. Okay, so we don't need any other selection here. What we have here is sufficient for now. What we want to demonstrate, let's go to networking, tags, and review and create. For Key Vaults, we'll cover the details in another subsequent video. Let's just create our Key Vault for now. KV Mavicho software 2 in the resource group named RG Mavicho-software. So it should pop up after the deployment is completed. So Key Vaults, what you can store in Key Vaults are things like connection strings to your SQL databases and the likes that contain sensitive information, and you don't want this sensitive information to be stored in code. So you don't want a person accessing the code, whether they're in your team or not, to be able to access that sensitive information. So because it's in a Key Vault resource, we can actually refine who can actually access that particular information. Let's go to our resource. So there are many uses of secrets and keys. So if we go to our Key Vault here, the newly created one, if we go to secrets, we can actually just create a new secret here. We're going to generate or import it. There are no secrets currently because it's the new resource. We're going to generate or import one here. So we're just going to create it manually now. New SQL connection string 1. We're just going to call it a sample secret. We can leave the others as defaults. If you have a project expiry date, you can just set that as well, but we just want to demonstrate this for now. By default, we want it to be enabled, so it's creating our secret with that value. Perfect. Here we have our secret. Now let's switch over to Visual Studio 2022 to see how we can retrieve this value. So if you open Visual Studio 2022, we're going to create a new API. new project. Just go to file, new project, search for ASP.NET. There we go. We have ASP.NET Core Web API. We're going to be using .NET 6. Just select it, make sure it's C#. We're going to name it KV. We're going to just use this name. Click on the next button. Okay, .NET 6, that's perfect. We don't need authentication for now. That's not what we're demonstrating. You can use controllers for now. Just create the API. Just going to wait for it to be created. Okay, awesome. So let's run our API. We're just going to click on this debugging button here, just to debug our API, make sure Swagger is intact and everything is set up correctly. So it has to restore all NuGet packages and make sure everything is okay. We see that the build has succeeded. And it should open a browser. There we go. And in our browser, if we go to our default action here, the get action, because there's no authorization, we'll see that we return our data. That's perfect. Okay, then we know that the bare bones are working. If we go back to our Visual Studio 2022 project and go to weather forecast, what we'll need to add is a NuGet reference to the package called let's just go to it now. Azure Key Vault. And in Azure Key Vault, they actually separated them into secrets, certificates, and keys. For now, we're going to demonstrate secrets, but you can actually use the same process to retrieve whether keys or certificates. Just going to install the latest version, accept the licenses. Okay, awesome. One other thing that we're going to add here is Azure Identity. This is for logging in and out of Azure and just making sure that our account is actually authenticated. Perfect. Okay, if we go back to our controller here, one thing in particular that, let me just zoom in, one thing in particular that we're going to use here is that in our app settings, if we go to your Solution Explorer, go to app settings here, one thing we're going to need is our Azure Key Vault URL, and this URL we're going to retrieve from our Key Vault resource here. So just go to overview, and in overview here you see the Vault URI. This is what we're going to copy. Just copy it to our clipboard here, go back to Visual Studio 2022 or whichever one you're using. We're going to paste it in our app settings here. That's perfect. Going to save everything, and then what we're going to do is retrieve it from our constructor. You can through the IConfiguration interface, which is injected automatically in our startup file or program file. So just going to name it configuration, and there's a very simple way to retrieve that particular value, the value that we stored here, the Azure Key Vault URL. So we're going to say kv URL is configuration and then index it with the key. So the key is this particular Azure Key Vault URL key, and there we go. So we have our Key Vault URL now. What we need now is our secrets client that will be used to the SDK that we're going to use to actually retrieve information from our Key Vault. So what we're going to do here, I'm just going to temporarily create a local variable here. So see secrets client, new secrets client. Perfect. Let's just control dot to actually include this using directive. It'll actually add this using Azure security key vault secrets. That's where we get our secrets client class there. So what it takes in is our Azure Key Vault URL as a URI. So we're going to just say new URI, and then we're going to say our Key Vault URL here. That's perfect. And then you'll see, it requires a token credential here. What we're going to use for this particular demonstration is a default login, and I'll tell you all about it now. So new Azure default, or rather default Azure credential. Let's just use Azure Identity. So what this default Azure credential does is that it tries a number of things, like Visual Studio authentication. If that doesn't succeed, it'll use your system's authentication that you might be using in your terminal, or your Visual Studio Code credential that you might have stored there. And then if one of them passes, it uses that. Otherwise, it just tells you that you're not authenticated. So that's perfect. So if there's a new developer, for example, in the company wanting to debug also, they'll get that particular error, and then they'll have to contact IT also to give them, your Azure administrator, to give them permissions to actually access this particular key vault. So as we mentioned before, not just everyone who's a new employee will be able to access these. So these are controlled. So that's perfect. We have a secrets client, so we're just going to get our secret. SQL connection string equals to our secrets client dot get secret. Obviously you'll be using a sync and the like, so I'm just going to demonstrate now. So the name of our secret, we're just going to get retrieve from here, SQL connection string 1. Because we're a bit lazy, we're just going to copy it here, or you can just click on these and then copy title to clipboard. Perfect. Paste it here, and that's about it. Okay, so for this to work, you'll have, as I mentioned, you'll have to have logged in. I'm going to demonstrate it without us being logged in. So if you open your favorite terminal and type in AZ logout, it'll actually log you out. So let's see what actually happened here. Although I think the CLI should be improved to tell you that you've actually logged out here. Maybe I'll submit a PR. Okay, let's debug this, see what will happen if we're not logged in. Let's go here, retry it. So it gets here, tries to create a new secret client into our key vault, to connect to our key vault using our default credential. If we debug it still and try to retrieve a secret here, let's see what happens. Aha, there we go. It says the default Azure credential failed to retrieve a token from the included credentials. So as I mentioned, it doesn't attempt one credential. That's why it took a bit of a while to load. So it tries quite a number of things to see if you're actually logged in. Now let's see what will happen if we actually log in. So if we go to your favorite terminal and say AZ login, enter, you'll actually have an opportunity to choose your account, and then it'll log you in. Wow. Okay, let's see what will happen now if we go to our Swagger page. Let's try it again. Execute. Gets here, tries to retrieve a secret here. Let's continue. Now we're logged in. Let's see what will happen. Aha, look at this. Now it proceeds. Let's look at our value. It should be if we go here and go to value and value again, you say a sample secret. Wow, this is wonderful. Then we've successfully retrieved our secret using C#. Now let's change this value. It says a sample secret. This is the value. If we change it, let me just actually pin this here. Continue. Okay, now that we retrieved it, we're going to go to Azure and modify our secret. So in order to modify our secret, we'll have to create a new version. A new version, and save it. Going to call it give it a value of a new version. And then if we try it again, remember before it was a sample secret. Let's see if it actually updated our secret now. Aha, look at this. Now the value is a new version as we've set it. So this is how you do it. Of course, you won't do it in a constructor because that'll take too long. So typically what you would do is, I'm just going to show you now. Okay, you can make this async because that's the standard way of doing things. And then we're going to make our secrets client a private variable, and then make it read only field. And then what we're going to do is in here, this our secrets client get secret async, and we're going to await on this. And then obviously you won't return it, you'll use it to connect to your actual database if it's a secret connection string. But in this particular case, we're just going to demonstrate this connection string. We're just going to add it to our weather forecast object here. Make sure everything is okay. Going to make it a string. By the way, I just use Alt and F12 here just to go and edit it in line. Otherwise, you can just go to your newly created property. What I used here is just control and period to create a new property there. So what we're going to do is .value. Perfect. This looks superb. Save everything. We're going to F5. Press F5 to debug it. So for every weather forecast object, there should be a connection string, which is the same value, which has a new version text. Here, try it out, execute it in Swagger, go to Visual Studio. We don't need these breakpoints anymore. We're just going to wait for the secret to be retrieved. As I mentioned, the default Azure Credential constructor can be used to actually you can exclude certain for example Visual Studio credentials, so it doesn't even attempt to retrieve credentials from it. So that's quite useful. Okay, let's look at our response body. Look at this. The connection string has our secret retrieved from Microsoft Azure, and that's exactly what we wanted to achieve. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember to subscribe for more Azure and more general software architecture solutions. Very straightforward. Leave a comment in the comment section to see if this is useful or how you are planning on using Azure Key Vault. Thank you.